No, I'm here. Can you hear me? Oh, France, huh? What do you want to hear about France? Well, in France, they don't have lovers. They just, uh, French women are like men. They will just grab you by the dick. So it's not exactly romantic. Like they're the least romantic people on the planet. I don't know where they got this image of being romantic. I think it's actually tourists that like being romantic in Paris because Parisians are like the least romantic people on the planet. They're really into kink. Like they like tying each other up and having perverted sex. I had a, uh, yeah, I don't want to talk about it. It's good sex, but it's not like they're not friendly and they're not romantic and it's weird. The food is really good and they're super fun to hang out with. They're party animals. Like I can drink, but they drink me under the table every time. Like they're literally trying to kill me. Like there were a lot of times when I was crawling to the bathroom. Like not exaggerating. Like they were literally trying to kill me. Well, they have their own moonshine that they call the Knoll, but it's made from prunes instead of potatoes, and it's super smooth. It's like it's kind of like vodka, but like sweeter with a little bit of like a gasoline sense. But you take one drink of that and you're fucking wasted. And these motherfuckers put it in their coffee. Like you get up and you're having coffee and they start pouring moonshine in your coffee at 10 in the morning. And if you don't drink it, you're rude. I don't want to drink moonshine at 10 in the morning. They're like, what's wrong with you? They're the French are very practical, which is what I like. Like like romance is bullshit, you know? Like romance, it's a form of psychosis. Like when you fall in love with somebody, you're not thinking clearly. And the French are very practical. So romance is like it's quaint to them. It's something that's charming, but it's not like real. Yeah, I went to Limousine. I saw the cows in Limousine are the most beautiful. They're blonde and super friendly. Like they'll walk up to you. Like you can moo at them and they'll just walk right up to you. You can pet them on the head. Yeah, the cows in Limousine are and the countryside in Limousine is fucking. Oh my God, it's godly. Like you freak out. Like you can't take a bad picture in that part of the country. Brainwash. You know what I'm saying? Like romance is it's silly. Being romantic is it's like you buy somebody chocolates and then the moment's passed, and then after that you're back to normal life. You know, it's like trying to have a romantic life is just not realistic. It's fantasy, and the French are they're existentialists. They live in the moment, so it's like you do something romantic, and they're like, "Well, that's cute, thanks," and then they go back to being, normal. Well, American film and French film are extremely different. Like French films very seldomly have happy endings. Usually a French film ends and you're left scratching your head. And American films, we like to tie everything up with a nice little bow, make it all nice and pretty. That's why we like Marvel movies, comic book movies. Yeah, the the very I remember I woke up and I saw that Trump had become president, and I started packing my bags. That's how it went. And I didn't come back until he was gone. Yeah, love it or leave it. I think that's a good policy. Like I did not suffer any of the trauma that you guys did. Like it was all abstract to me. Like I saw that stuff in Charlottesville and I was like I could just turn it off and it didn't affect me because I wasn't there. Like I turned it off and I went back to being in Paris, doing Parisian things, you know, like I was completely able to dissociate. It sounds familiar. There's a really great French film that just came out, I think in 2012. It's a short film called Le Petit Tailleur, The Little Tailor. It's fucking great. I agree with you, champ. Like, Twitter is what's bothering me about Twitter is that every single, like, I go as far left as I can go searching for people to join the squad, and it doesn't matter how left I go. When I talk to them, they're actually just there for the validation. Like, it's a great test to see who's legitimate or not. Like, because I'm offering them action. And the fact, like, it's the conundrum is I ask them, do you want to break Twitter? And they say, okay, let me hear the plan. And then I explain it to them, and then they say, well, I would do it, but I don't want to lose my Twitter account. Do you see the disconnect? Like, this is what I'm dealing with more than anything. It's like, I would like to break Twitter. I know that Twitter is really bad for society. I know that it's caused anxiety and depression amongst young people to quadruple in the last 10 years. It makes people suicidal and depressed and narcissistic. Like, they know this. And then I'm like, okay, well, let's do something. They're like, well, I don't want to lose my Twitter account. It's like, what the fuck? There's something not clicking in these people's brains. Well, as a musician that's traveled the country multiple times, I don't see the country as that big, actually. Like, have you ever driven through Nebraska? Like, there's nothing there. So it's like, big empty space means not big, it just means space. It's a race to the bottom because that's the program. It's not because that's human nature. Human nature is actually, you know, progress. Otherwise, we would have went extinct a long time ago. Like Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, they condition people to race to the bottom. They make people feel isolated. They make people narcissistic and desperate for attention. That's the program. Like, the likes and the follows are there to make you feel insignificant. That's the point. So then when you get a like, it's like, it's validation. You feel recognized. It's sick. It's the same thing that Scientology did to its members. The exact same thing. And it troubles me. It's not something that I can't just get on Twitter and tweet because I'm looking at people like the whole timeline. I can see how all of these people have been conditioned to be behaving the way that they're behaving. Like, they're not thinking clearly. They're just doing what the website has conditioned them to do, which is talk about politics to get validation as an individual. It's not about activism. It actually is counter to activism. It's not good for activism because it makes people feel like they've done something, when in actuality they haven't done anything but put some symbols on a website and get some numbers for it. But they feel like they've done something, so then they are less likely to actually do something. So Twitter actually, you know, prevents people from being more active than they would be if they didn't have this device. Well, most politicians are narcissists, and narcissists are pseudo stupid. They're goal oriented. That's what marks a narcissist, is someone that they don't have empathy because all they care about is having their goals met. And so a politician, he'll sit there and tell you a million wonderful things that he's going to do for you in order to get elected, because getting elected is the goal. So he can lie straight to your face all day long and not care because he's a narcissist. The goal is all that the person cares about. So 90% of politicians are psychopaths, you know. They don't actually care about politics even. All they care about is becoming that politician that they schemed up in their head, that would make them feel good about who they are as a human being. If they actually cared, then they would just be an activist. Wanting to be a politician is a sickness in itself, I think. Not the states, the county. Give all the power to the county. We don't need states' rights, we need county rights. Just break up the states. We don't even need states anymore. It's stupid. Like the fact that I had to get a new license every single time I moved to a different state was a major pain in the ass, you know, and completely pointless because I'm the same person and it's the same country. Uh, there's a good book that just came out about how hypocritical the states' rights people are, and it had this great quote from the senator from South Carolina was against states' rights, and that's why they were slow to join the Confederacy, because the state of New York had abolished slavery already, and New York was trying to say that people from South Carolina could not come up to the Hamptons to visit if they brought their slaves. And people in South Carolina were pissed off. They were like, no, we want to take our slaves wherever we go. So we don't like states' rights. We don't want the state of New York being able to decide their own fate. So the whole goddamn Confederacy was nothing but a goddamn bunch of terrorists fucking the country up. Money doesn't exist without people, so money doesn't control anything. Money is a human artifact. Like no people, no money. So it's not money, it's people. It's Jeff Bezos. It's Mark Zuckerberg. It's them having money is the problem. But they're just human beings. There's nothing special about them. They're psychopaths that lucked into a bunch of money, and because Americans fucking worship wealth, they get treated as though they're like great human beings, but actually they just got lucky. Well, memoid, the like button is the most toxic element on the internet. The like button is, there's tons of evidence and tons of studies that show that the like button is the most pernicious element on social media. And that's why YouTube just added 10 more like buttons, because it's addictive. Like, that's how you get your personal validation, is through the like button. That's how you get recognized by the internet. And social media tries to imply that any of us can be famous at any time. So we're all tempted to, if I just say the perfect tweet, if I just make a video about the perfect topic and I have the perfect haircut, this is narcissistic abuse. When you have to perform to get recognized, that's narcissistic abuse. What you what's healthy is whenever you're secure in yourself and you have a skill and you perform naturally because of self-efficacy, because it makes you happy. And then whatever it is that you develop in society benefits society. And then you get accolades that way. That's the healthy way. The narcissistic way is to say you have to do something. Because then what do? Well, you're going to end up doing something that you don't actually want to do. You're going to end up doing what society wants you to do. You'll be a slave. Well, the problem is not machines. Machines is progress. What you want is less physical labor. We want machines to do the heavy lifting for us. That's progress. The problem is that we don't know how to have an economy without heavy lifters. That's the problem. Really, what you have to do is just tax the fuck out of the rich. It's not rocket science. You just tax the fuck out of them, and then everything works out. That's what France does. They just tax the fuck out of everybody, and it works pretty good there. Well, yeah, in France they've had UBI since 1950. Like, if you don't want to work, you don't have to work in France, and you don't have to give a reason as to why you don't want to work. You just go and fill out some paperwork, and then they give you some money, and they give you affordable housing on top of that. And France is not the richest country in the world, so if they can do it, then we can do it. I saw a doctor in Paris as a person that could barely speak French at the time, for $27. And that doctor showed me more respect as a human being than basically any doctor I've ever had in the United States. It was an emotional situation for me to see the difference in care. Like French doctors, they actually care about their patients. They don't. It's weird. American doctors are fucking scumbags. They're trying really hard to go to the employer-based healthcare. They started doing that when they had international companies come into Paris. So they're trying to Americanize, but the French are like they're like my grandparents. That's the way I felt while I was there. I felt like I was hanging out with my grandparents because they're all unionized. They're all in a labor union. They've all they they just have a they're personable. Like the French are very personable. Like you can get to know a person really easily. They're not as guarded and they're not as fake as Americans are. They're much more like my grandparents' generation, where they're just down to earth and they like to drink and they like to smoke and they like hanging out and telling jokes and fucking with each other and having fun. And they don't take things so seriously. And they can have a serious discussion with you, but they don't get all angry about it. It's just a totally different atmosphere over there. And there's a buffer that the French have where if you don't speak the language, then you can fuck off, basically. It's like they're rude they're rude to American tourists because American tourists are narcissistic. American tourists show up in Paris and they act like they're in an amusement park. And it's not an amusement park, it's an actual city, you know? Like they treat people that live there like they're people that work in an amusement park. And obviously the French don't like that. So they're rude. And none of them speak French. They just come into Paris and they're like, "Do you speak English? Nobody speaks English. Where's the rides?" So, yeah, the French are going to be fucking rude to you if that's how you come into their country and that's how you behave. So that's how they got a reputation for being rude. But the truth is that if you actually learn to speak French, then they're actually the coolest people on the planet. Like they're super chill. They all speak English, but they don't want to because it's hard. They don't have an R, like the letter R. They don't have that. And they don't have TH, like the. They don't have TH and they don't have R. So speaking English it's tiring for them because they have to do things with their mouth that they're not used to. So no, they don't want to speak English because they're in French. They are French and they are in France. Why should they speak English? Fuck you. Speak 5 words of French and then you can take the train where you want to go. Like, I don't understand people that go to another person's country and then get upset that nobody speaks their fucking language. It's insanity. It's just pure narcissism. And after I got to where I could speak French pretty well, anytime I ran into an American tourist, I would just pretend to be French and pretend like I couldn't speak English because I completely understood the French's position towards American tourists. They're just like they're like rodents, pests. Quebec and France have absolutely nothing. It's funny actually that the French need subtitles when they watch a film in French Canadian Quebecois. Like they have to have subtitles because the French don't understand a single word of Quebecois. I can understand it perfectly well though. It's weird because my accent is American when I speak French, and so I think in an American French accent because you have to start thinking in French in order to be able to converse with people. And so I can understand Quebecois perfectly well without subtitles because it's an American accent. It's weird. No, no, they're Canadian. They just speak French. They're a little bit more rude than the average Canadian, but they're Canadian. They're not French. Like the French are very set in their ways. They're a very particular group of people. Like when I came back to America, I ran into a Frenchman at the airport, and I spotted him just from like 20 feet away. I was like, oh, there's a French guy. And then I went and shot the shit with him because I'd rather talk to him than the Americans that were waiting at the airport. Like they're very I don't want to say precocious, but they don't care. Like they really just don't care. Like everything is illegal in France, but they do everything in abundance. Like marijuana is illegal, LSD, all of these drugs are illegal, but they do it way more than Americans ever do. And they do it in the open. Like you'll walk around Paris and you'll just smell weed. Like someone will walk right past you smoking weed. So it's like totally illegal, but they just don't care. Like it's the French way. No, because shit's really fucked up there now because of COVID. Like I used to be able to just hop back and forth without any problem, and now that's not possible. So my plan is to save up money to buy a bus and some artillery and find a good commune to jump into. Might start playing music again. I don't know. I just came back to work for Bernie Sanders. Like that was the thing. Like my girlfriend in Paris wanted to live in the United States, and I said not unless Bernie Sanders is president. And the French are very practical, so the first her response was, "Well, you should get over there and do something." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess I could." So then I came over to work on the campaign, and I did banking and knocked on some doors and made 1,000 memes a day and just hustled while COVID broke. My finger was literally an inch away from me buying my plane ticket back to France whenever I heard on the TV that France just closed its borders. So I was just like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm stuck. I had a suicide cult rock band for a while. That was fun. The scary part was that when we started getting fans, they took us seriously. Wow, I could never be a cult leader because I appreciate my own personal freedom too much. Could never be a cult leader because I appreciate my own personal freedom too much. And it's like, if I have empathy, then I'm gonna understand that other people's personal freedom is valued in the same way. Oh, YouTube. Remember when you could like go live and it would go out onto the internet? It didn't just go nowhere. Uh, Major fucking challenge. Like, how am I gonna find recruits if the only people that I can reach are people that are well indoctrinated into the cult of social media? Because, like, I ask 1,000 people a day and I get 2 or 3 responses. Most people just completely ignore it. And then out of the 2 or 3 responses, maybe one person might join the Discord. Then once they get to the Discord, they lose interest. So it's like, God damn it. Uh, I'm like digging trenches and filling sandbags for a war that I'm the only person willing to fight. It's daunting. But the second that we get, you know, action, the second that there's even 4 or 5 of us do one thing collectively, it's exciting because it's coming alive. Frankenstein's monster. The frustrating thing is that I can see it, and that it's simple. That's the frustrating thing, is that all we have to do is all type the same thing. All we have to do is act in a unified fashion. Like social media, the program is, there is a program that exists, and there's a learning curve. Sign up with Twitter, and then you have to figure out how to use the website. And then when you figure out how to use the website, then you become indoctrinated, and then you become caffected, become emotionally invested in your account, and then they've got you. So it's like the other members validating and giving you positive reinforcement is what indoctrinates you. And then once you're on it for like a week or two, then you're in it. You're in it, and you're just going full speed ahead, trying to get those likes, trying to get those shares, trying to get more followers. And then it's a sickness. It's a sickness. It's affecting our entire fucking society. It's turning everyone into narcissists. And that's something I noticed as soon as I got off the plane when I got back from France. I got off the plane, and after spending years interacting with French people, my first encounter with Americans and being surrounded by nothing but Americans, just the narcissism was just so apparent. Like the narcissism of just everybody was just acting as though they were a fucking celebrity. And it was disgusting. Like it was repulsive. Like I felt really uncomfortable. And like you try to talk to somebody at the bar and they're just like rude. Like they're super rude. And they act like they're put off that you're even trying to talk to them. And it's like, who the fuck are you, buddy? We're sitting at the fucking airport. You know? I mean, it's narcissism. It's not arrogance, because arrogance is based on an ego. I mean, it's narcissism. It's not arrogance, because arrogance is based on an ego. It's based on you. Like I've been arrogant in my life because I did something cool, and then I strutted for a moment, and then it passed, and I went back to being a normal person. Like arrogance is a normal function. That's not what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing is just psychopathy. People have lost their fucking minds. Like the person at the grocery store thinks that they're a fucking celebrity. It's like you're not. You got some digits on a fucking website. Like I have more respect for someone who is famous on ratemypoo.com. Like if you have the most famous shit on ratemypoo.com, then you can feel good about yourself. That's an accomplishment. But if you have the most likes on Twitter, then you're a high-ranking cult member. You're somebody that's suffering from a major delusion. Does that make sense? Yeah, community is dead in America. Like in France, I went all over the country, stayed with all kinds of people, and my favorite time was in the South because like everybody is getting fucked up all day, and that's all they're doing, like drinking wine with breakfast, you know, and people just come over. People go and knock on each other's doors and say hello and spend time together, and they just, like normal human beings. It's scary. The United States is in a very weird state. I think I think social media took off in America because Americans are narcissistic. Because social media does not have such a hold on people in France. Like they use it, but it's it's not something that's important to them, and most of them use it in a very like, grandma kind of way. Like my girlfriend in Paris, she used Facebook because she liked to crochet, so she was in a lot of crocheting groups. You know what I mean? She wasn't using it to get validation or to make friends or have a sense of community. It was she liked to crochet, so she found a group of women that liked to crochet too, and so she would gab with them from time to time about crocheting. Like, and that's totally normal. That's healthy, but that's not what most people are using social media for. Most people are using it to have a sense of self, to have a sense of purpose, and that's really, really unhealthy. Yeah, there's reports coming out. Are you watching Sam's videos too? I get the feeling you are. That dude's got fucking hot info. He's a little bit crazy and he's a little bit conservative, but he's got good sources and he's a genius. So I've got good friends in America, but I'm fucking separated the whole country. I don't really like hitting them up on social media because it's just, you know, it's meaningless chatter. It's not a, it's not the same as if I got to hang out with them. Actually makes it actually makes me miss them more when I chat with them on social media. Doesn't make me feel more connected to them. Can you hear me? Who what? Sam. Sam Factman. Like I love that dude. He's a genius. He's really smart, but at the same time, he's not as integrated into the culture of social media, so he's a little bit clueless. He's coming at it from an outsider perspective, and because of that, he doesn't like he's reading about it rather than seeing it. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of a disconnect. It's like he gets it, he sees how he knows how bad it is, and he understands narcissism better than anybody on the fucking planet. But because he was never indoctrinated, so he has no idea what the experience is actually like to be popular on social media. Fuck, he's got like 800 fucking videos. The ones that I like the most are the ones where he's like getting red in the face talking about social media. So there's one, just search Sam Vaknin Rebel. It's a big yellow happy face on the front. That's a really good one. He did a new one on privacy. That's a really good one. Talks a lot about how we don't have privacy anymore because of social media. Well, welcome back, Memoid. Nothing changed. We got to get more people to recruit because I'm getting burnt out. That's what I'm getting burnt out on. I make a video and it gets 10 fucking views. There's no point. And a lot of it is because of the narcissism with people that already have established channels because they won't give a shout out because that might hurt their image, you know? So they're all a bunch of narcissists too. They're like safeguarding their account just all their might, even though everybody that I've contacted is being suppressed. Like they're all being affected, but yet they don't want to respond because they're indoctrinated. Like you could say it's fear, but it's not. It's beyond fear. It's like a. It's like you're trying to take away their sense of identity. It's like it's like they can't do anything to rock the boat because their sense of stability depends upon how successful they are on social media. And these are the good people I'm talking about. Like I'm talking like I've reached out to every leftist there is on YouTube, and they're all like this. They're all just like, okay, well, good luck with that. No, I'm not going to give you a shout out. No, I'm not going to acknowledge your existence in any way because if I do that, then I am giving something of myself, and I'm only here to take. And these are the good people I'm talking about. You know, the bad ones are like they're open about it, but the people I'm talking about, they have empathy. They're caring people, but they're so heavily indoctrinated that they won't give a shout out, not even a shout out, because what I'm doing is I'm openly declaring war on the website. Like I'm making no bones about what it is I'm trying to do here. Video responses has been dead for 10 years. No, YouTube. That's one of the hacks that I did way back in the day when I forced YouTube to change its entire front page overnight. I should get some kind of reward for that, being the only person on the planet to figure out how to take advantage of that exploit. I forced my videos to the front page with, it said most it had most viewed, most commented, and most responded. on the front page. And I saw most responded, and I thought, I wonder if I use my own videos as, and it got 50,000 views overnight. And then YouTube scrambled, and they sent me an email saying that I'm spamming the website, and they gave me a strike. And then they changed the entire interface. I woke up the next morning, and the entire front page was just basically blank. And I felt really good about myself, because fuck them. But that's when video responses went away. It's my fault. I take all the blame. I just don't care. That's why I did really well in France, because they picked up on that I'm like them and that I just do what I want. And if a $1 billion company is bothering me, then if it's possible for me to bother them as well, then I'm going to do it. But so now they've shut off. It was January 6th. After that, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube all had to testify before Congress as to what responsibility they felt they had in the riot, which they had a lot. I mean, social media caused the insurrection, in my opinion, because they give people narcissistic safe spaces where they can just create their own little tiny cult, and they don't have to hear reality. They don't have to hear the truth. That's what social media does for people. It gives them the ability to just become total narcissists and just live in their own little fantasy world. So they had to go testify, and AOC grilled them. She did a really good job at putting them in the hot seat, but she's only one congressperson, so she wasn't able to actually do anything more than that. So they got a slap on the wrist, and then they went home, and they all shut the websites down without telling anybody. That's what happened. After January 6th, none of these webs, like the likes on Twitter, they don't register. Like you can see it. Like you'll hit like, and then it'll go away. It happened just yesterday. I tried to share Danny DeVito's tweet about Nabisco, the strikes. I retweeted it, and for a second, it was on my timeline, and then when I refreshed, it wasn't. I had to retweet it so that it would actually get retweeted. So they shut the websites down, and now they're looking at who they have as celebrities, and they're fine tuning who is allowed visibility, and they're slowly erasing anyone that is subversive as far as people that are already popular. Like if you are subversive and if you do things that are counter to the YouTube big tech's mission, if you do anything to rock the boat, you're done. Because they will just stick a bot on you and your numbers will just slowly, incrementally go down until eventually, I'm watching it happen to Kyle Kalinske. secular talk. Like the dude's been at it for more than 10 years, and his videos are exactly the same as they have been for 10 years, which is good. He's good at what he does. And his numbers have gone from 100,000 usually, and it dropped to like 50,000. And now from 50,000, it's down to 20,000. And now from 20,000, it's going down to like 7,000. And the dude has 1 million subscribers. So you tell me that there isn't some shenanigans going on. Like he's being canceled. Like if it was television, he would be put at the 3 a.m. slot. You know, like they're giving him the 3 a.m. slot, but they're lying to him and saying that no, you're still on at 7. It's something that you're doing, which is narcissistic abuse. When somebody does something to fuck with you and then says that it's your fault, that's narcissistic abuse. YouTube. Kyle makes videos about how the military industrial complex is robbing us of our wealth. YouTube is in cahoots with the state. Like Obama and YouTube shook hands behind closed doors. Obama got rid of Mega Video overnight. You remember Mega Video, champ? Megavideo.com? Like they were robbing Hollywood left and right. Like if you before a movie would even come out, the screening of the movie would be put on Mega Video. So they were costing Hollywood billions. And so Obama, as president of the United States, he waved his finger and got rid of Mega Video overnight. Overnight. Mega Video was a thing of the past. It was history. But yet YouTube is still there. And I've done nothing for the past week but watch movie after movie after movie on YouTube, posted by anonymous users. So this is all theft. It's all been stolen. It's all intellectual property that's being shared free. Actually, not free because they put advertising on it. So they're making money off of stolen merchandise. That's what YouTube is. And Obama decided to allow it to exist, while at the same time saying Mega Video can't exist. So they shook hands in that moment, and YouTube became an apparatus of the state. So you can't make videos healthcare. You know, Bernie Sanders ran for president, and they shadow banned his fucking channel. They made it unsearchable. If you searched Bernie Sanders, the first thing that would come up is a Fox News interview while the campaign was going on. So this website is as corrupt and as unified with the corporate fascist state that we all live under as can be. It's basically like we used to make fun of the fact that Russia had state-sponsored television. Like they didn't have ABC, NBC, CBS, they just had Russia TV. We used to make fun of that, but that's what YouTube is. YouTube is state video sharing. It's state-sponsored. Well, no, Hollywood is in cahoots with YouTube. That was the deal that was made because Hollywood is part of the state too. I mean, if you want to make a war movie, you have to ask the army for permission, tell the army what the movie's about, you have to give them the script, and then that depends on how well your movie does. Because if your movie is anti-war, then the United States government is not going to support it, which means that Hollywood is going to get a bunch of phone calls saying that we don't want this movie to do well. They all work in concert. The reason why Obama got rid of Mega Video is because A large part of the United States economy is based on film. Like, we make a lot of money off of film. Like, France constantly says that we're number one in film. They hate it because they're pretty good at films themselves, but they say it all the time. The United States is really good at making films. And so that's a big part of our economy. And so you had to get rid of mega video because it was costing us our economy big billions and billions of dollars. But so, like, the movie Platoon is actually pro-war. Like, you think it's anti-war because it's you know all of these like hard fought battles that Charlie Sheen's character goes through, but it's actually pro-war. Like, Oliver Stone got to use United States military helicopters. He got military advisors to participate in the film. It was heavily promoted by the military. It was a way. The reason why the military liked the film is because it showed the brotherhood that develops between soldiers. So it's actually like a big advertisement as to what's great about being a soldier. And it gets all these awards because it shows the hardship of war and all this stuff. But actually, it's a hour and a half long commercial to join the U.S. Army. Well, yeah, no one will care. That's where I'm at right now. Asking 1,000 people a day, do you want to break Twitter? And what I'm seeing is that nobody cares, and that's not good. It's not that I want to do this to make myself feel good, because it doesn't make me feel good. It feels good whenever I can get you guys to do an operation with me, but that's because it's fun. It's not because I'm getting some kind of personal validation out of it. It's because it's fun. Like, causing trouble is fun. Always has been. And that's something I get accused of a lot, is that I'm just trying to get validation the same as everybody else, or I'm just doing this to get attention, or you know, like that dude, All American Socialist. Like, he unsubscribed and sent me these hateful messages because you know I'm trying to do this, and you know I don't even know what the hell he was mad about. It was weird. I could say some things, but I won't. It's not trolling. It's something else. Like, there's trolling, and then what we're doing is more like moling. We're like beavers. We're like beavers. We're not trolls. We're more like beavers. Like, trolls, they want validation. They want an emotional response. Trolls are just narcissists. Trolls are just somebody that's desperate for an emotional response. That's the classic troll. But what we're trying to do is dam the river. We're not trying to get attention. We're, we're trying to cause disruption. And we're trying to do it for a valid reason. That's what separates us from the trolls. Trolls, it's all selfish. It's all narcissistic. It's all just somebody trying to get attention. But what I'm trying to inspire people to do is commit themselves to action. Like a troll, it's impulse. A troll goes on the internet, sees something he doesn't like, and then leaves a hateful comment. That's a troll. What I'm trying to do is stop the flow of traffic completely. And it's easy. It's so easy. And the reason why it's easy is because everybody's a fucking narcissist. Like you go on Twitter, every single person on there is a fucking narcissist. Every single one of them. So what that and it's like that by design. Like Twitter wants you to be a narcissist. And so you get on Twitter and you behave like a narcissist because that's the program. And the reason why that's the program is because if they have you isolated, you're easier to control. That's the reason why the program exists. It's a way to manipulate people. If they have you feeling like you're isolated, even though that's something that you've been conditioned to feel, even though there's absolutely no reason for you to feel that way when you're just looking at stuff on the internet. It's conditioning. Make you feel isolated, so then you feel like you have nowhere to turn. It's exactly. I've been in a relationship with a narcissistic person before. I've been in lots of relationships with narcissistic people, and it's the exact same thing. When you're with a narcissist, this is how they behave. When you're on social media, this is how they treat you. It is exactly the same thing. And that's what Sam Vaknin doesn't really see. Like he's a genius, but because he hasn't experienced social media, he doesn't fully get it. He doesn't have empathy for the situation because he's never actually experienced what it's like to be on social media for an extended period of time. So there's a few dots that he hasn't really connected in a real finite way. Well, it's in order to get likes, you have to act grandiose. You have to be a grandiose narcissist to succeed on the website, on social media. If you want to get likes, you have to stick out. If you want to stick out, you have to act grandiose. Acting grandiose is narcissistic because you're taking time and energy away from other people for no other reason but to just get attention, which is pointless, toxic. No, it's a big joke. It's a big game that's being played on everyone. And so what I was saying about people being isolated, that's why my program works, is because we are we understand what's being done to us, and so that frees us from it. That gives us freedom of movement. It makes it to where the movement. It makes it to where the triggers, like the likes, like if you're arguing with somebody and the person you're arguing with gets a bunch of likes, that's supposed to trigger to you a bad emotion. It's supposed to make you feel sad and isolated that this person is getting likes. But when you recognize that this is something that they have been conditioned to do, that this is cult like activity and that you should not even acknowledge it, it gives you total freedom of movement and thought. Like you're no longer under you're no longer in the throes of the fucking cult of the website. You're free. And because you're free, it enables you to be able to unify with other people because that is the last thing Twitter wants you to do. They want you to see yourself as an individual and to express yourself as an individual, which means isolated. The last thing in the world they want anyone to do is to express themselves collectively. Because the very second that you do that, the whole thing crumbles. So all we have to do is get enough people to launch a big enough spectacle because we have to be absurd. We can't be hateful. We can't be pushy. We can't be rude. We have to be absurd. That's what I've learned recently is that absurdism is actually the best form of protest. Like being a clown, because then if you use violence, the majority of people will reject it. Because if you use violence, the majority of people will reject it. Because the majority of people are nonviolent. But if you use absurdism, you're going to get people's attention. And once you have their attention, then you can give them the information. So it's all about getting the attention. Then once you have the attention, spreading out the information. And it's easy. It's so easy because everyone on Twitter is a narcissist, which means that every single person on there, like if we get 100 people and we go to Tom Hanks's Twitter account, we just all day, every day, we tell Tom Hanks, Twitter is a cult. Twitter is a cult. Twitter is a cult. Tom Hanks, Twitter is a cult. Twitter is a cult. Twitter's a cult. It's abusing people. Like if we get 100 people and we just go do that to Tom Hanks, he will fucking respond. The actor, the 10-time Emmy, Grammy, Oscar award winner, he will respond because he's a narcissist, because he's on social media. He won't see it coming. None of them will because they don't understand collective action. And once, see, what we have to do is we have to get enough people to where it can cause a stink. That's all. So once we get enough people, then we just start seizing territory, and we'll start off small, like a video game. You go with the small bosses at the beginning, and like that, we'll grow in numbers. So what we have to do is go seize territory on the left, because like that, you'll find people that are sympathetic and that will want to join. Just we got to find a way to get the numbers. We got to find the people, and then once we do, it's over. And I'll do it all as a puppet, and then I'll delete my fucking channel, and nobody will know who the fuck I was except for you. And I'd like for you to not dox me, so then nobody can say I'm doing it to get attention. I've done that, champ. I've done it over and over and over. I've made the perfect video explaining exactly what I want to do, and I've sent that video to hundreds of people, and they don't even watch the fucking video because they don't want to rock the boat. But yeah, I'm going to keep doing it, even though it hasn't worked yet. But I am going to keep doing that because that is one way. What I need is more participants. What I need is for other people to make propaganda with me. Because as long as it's just me doing it, then they're going to see it as being ego driven. See what I'm saying? Like if I'm the only one doing it, then they're going to see it as my project. And what I'm trying to get through to people right from the bat, the second that they join, is that it's an anarchist union. It's one for all. It's either we're all in this together or it won't work. So it's absolutely not ego driven. It's it's humanitarian driven. It really is. Like I look at how people are being affected by these websites and it bothers me. Tom Hanks replies, fuck. Yeah, it's over. It's over. If Tom Hanks acknowledges us, that means that our message gets put on blast. And this is why raids and harassment brigades on YouTube don't go anywhere because the raids on YouTube are ego driven. They're all about it's narcissism. It's collective narcissism. Like Jimmy Dore has a harassment brigade, and he sends them off to go bother other channels. And so he's doing what we're essentially doing, but he's doing it for the wrong reason. You see what I'm saying? It's like we're going to do the exact same thing that Jimmy Dore is doing, but we're going to do it for the right reason. So then when we get the attention, we have the message. And the message is what gets catapulted, not someone's ego, not someone's YouTube channel. What gets catapulted is the message itself, which is that social media is tearing apart the fabric of society and that we need to address this. If Tom Hanks replies, then that means that we can get Mark Ruffalo to reply. That means that we can get Susan Sarandon to reply. That means that we can get, it starts with one, and then you just keep going. Because the very second that you get one of theirs attention, you've broken through. This is how I became a successful musician back whenever I was playing. You go play a show with one person, get in good terms with that person, and then from there you get another gig, and then you get more gigs, and then you've played enough gigs to where suddenly the big bars are asking you to come play. It's that's the way it goes. You break barriers, and it's through the action of doing it that you learn more. So who knows what'll happen when Tom Hanks replies? If we can get Tom Hanks to reply, there's a million possibilities from there. Maybe he'll hear the message and maybe he'll take the mantle and be like, God damn, he's right. These people are right. This website is evil and it needs to be destroyed. And then he makes a documentary about how horrible social media is and about how the last 10 years have been, you know, a crime against humanity. People all day long, every day, people are raining on my parade, champ. There's there's not anything you can say or do to make me rethink the mission. Well, that's just an example. Mark Ruffalo, Susan Sarandon, there's lots of celebrities that are leftists. Danny DeVito. The point is that once we get enough people, we can get the attention of anyone because everyone on Twitter is a narcissist. If we can show up in any thread on Twitter and get attention as a unit. It doesn't matter who it is. Elon Musk, just pick a target. It doesn't matter because when you go into the comments, every single comment is different because it's people trying to individualize. It's people trying to express themselves as individuals. So all we have to do is show up as a collective and it's their entire thread is finished. You know, it's that simple. And it's because social media trains people to be narcissists. They want every single person on the website to be a narcissist because then they can control them. But what social media doesn't realize is that that makes them vulnerable to outside forces as well, both good and evil. Well, we can make a documentary, but if Tom Hanks made a documentary, a lot more people would watch it. the reason why I know for a fact that my channel is shadow banned is because I put narcissism, narcissistic abuse, narcissists, all of the keywords into the tag, and all of these words are buzzwords. You put these in the title and your video is going to get views. You're going to get a following. But when I put it in there, absolutely nothing. It goes nowhere. So it's abundantly clear that I have been completely shadow banned, which is ridiculous because I haven't even, I have 69 followers and they're going to shadow ban me. But it's obvious that they have because narcissism is a fucking hot topic. If you made a video and put narcissism in the title, I guarantee it'll get you some views. Guarantee. Because you have not been shadow banned. You're not promoted, but you haven't been all out banned. All right. Who's that? We got another viewer. Hey, Storytime, how are you? Susan Sarandon don't give a fuck. You can maul her all you want. She's not going to change her opinion. She's not going to change her views. She's not going to change her speech. Love that woman. Champ, I don't want you to deliver my message. I want to make that clear. It's not my message. It's just the truth. I'm frustrated, Storytime. Frustrated. Have you joined the Discord? Storytime. Link is in the description. I guess I could be a little less lazy and move my head while I talk. That'll make it more entertaining for y'all. My goal for the world. I don't really have a goal for this world. It's a little narcissistic. Like the world is the world and I'm just me. One goal I have is to destroy social media. So if you want to join the Discord, help us do that. We'd all appreciate it. Story time. We're trying to expose the fact that social media is a cult, that they use cult-like practices. Media is a cult, that they use cult-like practices to keep their users. Why? That it's a giant gaslighting machine that's used to brainwash society, and that they want to control your perception of reality. That's my goal. My hopes are that you'll sign up, that you'll join us. Oh, this poor puppet. Right now, we're just in recruitment phase, so things are kind of slow. But once we get the numbers that we need, we're gonna raise all hell. Oh, don't go offline now. We need you. If you can type the word banana and hit send, then you can help us break social media. Like, I'm not joking. If you can type the word banana and hit send, like right now, then we can break social media. I was pretty much offline the whole time that I was in France, and I didn't miss it at all. Like, the only thing I regret is that I lost touch with a lot of friends of mine. But I mean, that's going to happen when you move anyway. So, and when I used social media to chat with them, it just made me miss them that much more. It didn't actually make me feel like I'd spent time with them. So it's, you know, you mean to say what? I moved to France when Trump became president, and I didn't come back until he was gone. And while I was there, I didn't use social media hardly at all. Post a picture every once in a while of what I was doing. That was about it. I really wish that you guys could speak French because the computer can't understand French. Like it's a common joke how bad Google's interpreter gets French when it tries to listen. And I speak French with a really strong accent, so the computer really can't understand what I'm saying. So, well, this was fun, guys, but I'm gonna sign out.